Hello. Today we have a very special guest, probably best known as the bass player and one of the founding members of the band Punchline. He's also released a few solo EPs and makes some pretty cool enamel pins. We can put a link in the show notes if he wants. And I have to admit it up front, I'm a big fan of Punchline and our guest's other projects, so I'll try not to geek out too much. Chris Fafalios, welcome to the Pop Punk Paradise.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate it. So, normally we do this in German, but I'm guessing you don't speak much German?
I wish I did. But unfortunately, I do not.
That's fine. We're ready in English. So I think we might jump around a little bit, but I'd like to start close to the beginning. Punchline's been around for like 20 years now, right? That's like half your life. Almost.
Yeah, I've been in this band for more than half my life now. This July, Punchline will have started 22 years ago.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been quite a while.
So you'd have been what, 15 or 16 when the band started?
That's correct. Right,
Wow.
right around there. And it's crazy because a lot of people start bands and then maybe they're in 5 or 6 bands before that will change their name several times before they're in the band they're in for a long time. Well, I'm still in the first band I was ever in.
That's cool. You must have done something right then.
Yeah, maybe.
So how old were you when you started playing music? Did you start before Punchline or?
You know what? I bought a bass guitar to start this band Punchline with Steve and our friend PJ at the time. So yeah, I mean, I was 15 years old and I bought a bass at a baseball card shop, and just because we needed a bass player. And I've heard that story many times from people in bands, like, yeah, we needed a bass player, so I started playing bass. But that's basically the story, yeah.
I feel like bass is really one of those instruments that a lot of people that end up playing bass just for that reason start playing bass.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I was so young that when I started playing bass that I feel like I had just found out what a bass was right before I got one.
Awesome. So when you and Steve and PJ started Punchline, did you know that you wanted to play music as a career?
It's pretty crazy. I think I did. I mean, I know that I, looked up to all kind of bands and just loved music more than anything. And, right from the start, we were so dedicated to it. That's all we cared about. As soon as we started playing together, that was everything. That's all we did. That was the most important thing in the world to us. So I don't know if I knew for sure that it was going to be a career, but I knew for sure that I didn't see an end in sight, and I didn't see us stopping at any point.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Chris,
wait a minute. What bands did you look up to? What artists?
At the time we started our band, it was really heavy into like ska punk music. So like bands like Less Than Jake and the Suicide Machines and Operation Ivy and bands like that.
Okay.
Along with Green Day and people like that were, it was kind of the cross of that. But as a bass player, I'm so glad that ska was so big at the time, because the ska bass lines being way cool, being like the coolest bass lines, I feel like that made me a better bassist and made me want to excel at playing bass more than just playing root notes and easy punk rock songs. I feel like that made me a better bassist. So I'm happy that that's the bands that inspired us.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree absolutely. Ska has some of the best bass lines.
Ska is very cool. Chris, I've got a question too. Where also Chris from Punchline. Chris, where are you on Friday? I see Less Than Jake, and you wrote on your Instagram profile you're on tour with Less Than Jake.
I need to change that. We got back from that tour about a week and a half ago, and it was amazing. We were out with them for a couple weeks, and Less Than Jake was actually the first big band to take our band on tour in like 2003, I think it was. That was the first time we ever got to play like shows in front of 1,000 people, and so it was really cool to be able to tour with them again now after all these years. I love that band. I think they're amazing. An awesome live band. So many good songs.
I agree.
So that was really a real treat. But yeah, I need to change my Instagram profile because that tour is over.
Too bad though that you guys couldn't make it over to Europe with the Punk and Drublic tour.
I know. I want to go so bad. I was talking to them about how awesome their European shows are. I'm like, hey, if you guys need an opening band, let us know. That tour is awesome. I wish we had that tour.
I think the opener of this festival is the Bump Ups, when I am not wrong. And
the Bump Ups.
And
you're right.
And I think they are not bad too, but Punchline would be better at this spot.
well, hopefully soon. We've never played in Germany. All these years, we never played in Germany, and I would really, really love to.
That'd be cool. Have you played any shows in Europe? I know you've been to Japan and.
We've done the UK twice.
Okay.
But never mainland Europe.
Okay.
How hard is this to come as a US band to Germany? Is it possible that we would see you soon in Germany, maybe?
It pretty much depends on if a band wants to bring us as a support band. Because I think it's hard to just say, okay, we're going to go to Germany for our first time. So we have our fingers crossed, and we try to put out feelers to see what tours are going there. We're long overdue for a proper European tour.
Okay, that would be cool, but we understand. I understand if it doesn't work. I assume it's crazy expensive to take care of all the logistics if you don't have another band like bringing you along as supporting act.
Yeah, that's definitely the key, but we haven't given up on that.
Cool. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. So if things with the band had turned out differently, did you ever like have a different career in mind? Like a lot of kids want to be an astronaut or a fireman or something.
You know what? We were young enough when we got into music, like 15 and 16 years old, that we still went to college. Mm-hmm. But even while I was in college, it was like I went to classes Monday through Thursday, and then it was all weekend. It was shows somewhere, and it was always band stuff. I rarely even hung out at my college. It was more like I just went there for classes. I kind of never had a real backup plan,
awesome.
Other than playing music, and we all have our hustles from over the years. Because especially when you're not touring, you need to make money one way or another. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this has always been my focus, and for Steve as well, and our bandmates throughout the years. This has always been our number one focus. So yeah, I didn't really have too much. I mean, as far back as I can remember before that, I wanted to be a hockey player, but that's when I was 13 years old or whatever. So that was as close to another plan, which would have been a really bad plan.
Yeah, it's kind of a dangerous sport.
Yeah, and I wasn't good, so that would have been a really bad plan.
Yeah. So was your family supportive of the music, or I don't know, did they have other visions for you?
I think that as and I don't blame them for that. It is normal to be weary when your kid says, "Oh yeah, I want to play in a punk rock band as my career." But they've always been supportive of me pursue. They saw how serious we took it, and that we weren't just playing shows and getting drunk and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We took it serious. It was our passion, and it was a business, and like anything else. And they saw how serious we took it, and yeah, they were supportive for sure.
Cool. So let's jump a little toward the present day. This year's been pretty good for you guys so far. It seems like you've been on tour with the Gin Blossoms and Less Than Jake. I think you've got an EP coming out with the 90s covers.
Yeah, man.
And how have you guys been able to stay relevant and keep having fun at it?
Well, yeah, this past year has been really awesome. I mean, we've been touring more than we had in years. Before,
Mm-hmm.
we did this Les and Jake tour. Before we did that, we did that Gin Blossoms tour. And before we did that, we did a tour with the band The Spill Canvas.
Yeah.
And before that, we did a little headlining run in the U.S. with this band called The Stolen, who are awesome. And that's all like in the past year. So that was more touring than we had done. Yeah, we did this EP since it's been 25 years since the year 1994. And 1994 was such an awesome year for music, man. That's like Weezer Blue Album, Green Day Dookie, Beck Mellow Gold, Gin Blossom's New Miserable Experience. So many great albums from that year. And so we were like, okay, as a band, for a band that's been a band for a couple decades now, we really haven't done that many cover songs. Maybe one here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But we were like, okay, we want to do an EP of songs since it's been 25 years since 1994, and that was such a pinnacle year for music. So we're releasing those one at a time. We released a Gin Blossoms cover, and we got another one coming in the next week or two here. So yeah, we're doing that as something to do between albums,
Okay.
to not make people wait so long for new music. And we have a music special that we're finishing up, which is a mix of a live show and comedy and stuff from being on tour. It should just be it's an hour-long, very entertaining film. So we're looking for in the fall for a release of that. So we have a lot of stuff on the horizon. And as far as the staying relevant, I don't know, man. We're not trying to just rely on our old music. We're always trying to, outdo ourselves, at least in our own opinion. I feel like if we were just relying on songs we wrote 10 plus years ago, that would get really boring. And I feel like this would fizzle out. But now we feel super motivated, especially since, we've had our ups and downs as a band, but we never had like a song really, really catch on or so we're always striving to be able to find a way to get our music into more people's ears that might like, so yeah, trying, man. We're trying.
Cool. So I guess kind of going along with that, in 2012, you guys made it to #1 on iTunes. Was that like an awesome time for the band, or was that kind of super stressful?
That was pretty awesome, man, because that was, it was a little bit silly and stunt-like for me to say, hey, I'm gonna stop doing this if our album doesn't go to #1. But I felt like the people who had been along on the ride with us for so long, and like I said, we had our ups and downs and a lot of frustration as a band, but to see that people cared enough to support us in that, and with $0 of promotion put us on the same stage as people that are spending millions of dollars in advertising and promotions, that was pretty special, man. I think that moment really reinvigorated our band, and we were like, okay, we got to keep going because people actually care, and that was pretty special.
Yeah, I remember like refreshing iTunes like every hour or so to see how you guys were doing. I like coming home from work to check iTunes before I went out for the evening to see how it was going, because that was, I don't know, as a fan, I thought that was a really cool, I don't know, thing to feel like we were a part of.
I mean, yeah, it really did. It super felt that way, like we were all in it together, you know, and that's what's always been really special for me about Punchline, is that, you know, we've always been at least 90% at all time a very DIY band, and and we're just completely relying, you know, so many of our fans we know by name. You know, I walk in, even on that Less Than Jake tour, you walk into a show and go like, oh, I know 50 people here by name, and I talk to them on either Twitter or Facebook or Instagram every day of my life, you know, and I think that's really cool. I don't know a lot of, you know, we've seen bands over the course of our career like shoot up, like they'll have a hit song catch on, and just as quickly they will fizzle out and either break up, or, you know, you don't hear from them forever. And but because we've had these relationships with people and been able to really have a lot of one-on-one contact with people over the years, it feels like, you know, just like you said, it feels like we've been right along the way, and people have experienced what we have experienced along the way. So, you know, in the event that anything would catch on in an even bigger way for us, I feel like everyone would be along for the ride with us on that as well. You know, that's
yeah,
I don't know, it's pretty cool.
I agree. So you've been a band for almost 22 years now. That's a long time for any relationship. Do you guys ever, or are you willing to talk about any rough spots you guys may have had, or times when you thought like, man, I think this is going to be it?
You know, Steve and I are the two original members. I think him and I have always been super focused. Like we're going to make this work regardless. Corey's been with us for, you know, well over a decade now, and he's on the same page as us too. And now Trevor's been with us for close to 4 years now, and right now, not that I haven't enjoyed every lineup we've had. It's always been pretty laid back guys. It's always been an enjoyable experience, but now more than ever, I felt like when we were maybe in our mid-20s and you were on tour, you had a lot of outside factors. I always felt like someone was stressed about something back at home, or like a girlfriend, or like, you know, some sort of drama they were having with somebody. But now I feel like at this point in all of our lives, when we're out playing shows, we're focused and we get along, and it's just completely relaxing. As far as rough points in the past, yeah, I feel like nothing out of the ordinary that that any of us haven't experienced at one point or another. Maybe emotions flew a little higher when we were younger touring together, but I think now it's like we've made it through those rough patches, and we all know how to, I don't know, share a hotel room together, and how to decide where we're going to eat together, and I think that we're all pretty focused on music, and the outside things, we don't let them distract us as much anymore. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So what's your favorite Punchline album then?
Oh, jeez. Looking back, I feel like I should say Lion's my favorite, but I don't feel like
have to.
Yeah, even though it's been a year since it's come out now, I feel like I need a good 5 years to be able to look back and objectively say, okay, this one's my favorite. So I'm going to take Lion out of the equation because it still needs a little more time. So that being said, my personal favorite of our albums is the album which just had a 10-year anniversary, was Just Say Yes. Because that one we really were all over the map musically kind of, and we actually recorded in several different places and with different producers, and we explored a lot of different sounds. And that one, to me, when I listen to it now, is the most musically interesting and keeps my attention the most. So yeah, that's been my answer lately, is just say yes. But every album has, every album since, excluding our first couple that I don't even really count anymore. Anything pre-2002, I don't really count. But, ever since then, I could find reasons why an album could be my favorite, but just say yes. I think just say yes would be my answer to that.
Cool. I think that's a great album, and I'd probably say it's my favorite too. But
nice. Hell yeah, man.
I used to listen to it a lot.
Nice.
But yeah. So anyways, on the latest album, on Lion, it seems like you did a lot more singing, or at least your singing was a lot more prominent than in some of the other albums. Did that just kind of happen, or did you guys do that intentionally?
I think that just kind of happened. I think it's like pretty obvious in our band that Steve is the lead singer.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think that with this being the first album that we ever recorded we already produced it ourselves and recorded most of it ourselves. I think that maybe we fell into like, however we demoed the songs, like we kind of like, okay, I like this. So like, a song like Sensory Overload, where I sang it, and then we were all like, okay, well, I sang that pretty well. Chris, you sang that pretty well. Why, sing it on the album. So it was kind of just whatever seemed to make sense on the song. And I don't want it to be in our band that, oh, I wrote a song, so I'm going to sing it. But it kind of worked out that way on certain songs on this album. And I do love to sing, but I don't really know how we decided who sang what. It was kind of like, a lot of times it was, if you wrote a part, then you sang it.
Okay.
But on
That's
this album.
cool.
But I don't know if we're going to keep doing that moving forward. But just kind of worked out that way this time.
Cool. So how does your process usually work? Do you guys all come up with ideas, and then do you record your own demos, or do you guys present live to each other?
Every song is kind of its own thing, but on Lion, we definitely had a big Dropbox full of tons of ideas, where
Cool.
if you recorded a demo, you just dropped it in there, and the other guys could check it out. And we definitely, I think on Lion, we probably had more demos and ideas than we ever did on an album, because we just had a giant Dropbox full of ideas. Because I don't know, that for our band, I feel like that's always been our strength, is that there's no shortage of songs to choose from. It's more a matter of weighing what we like, which is what we usually go with, to be honest, versus what we think other people might like, which it's hard not to keep that in mind too. But we always do end up erring on the side of, oh, what do we like the most? Because, we're music fans too, obviously. So I would hope that our taste would jive with what a person might like. That might not always be true. We might prefer a song because it's fun to play, and maybe something that's fun to play doesn't also equate to being a song that people might like as much. I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard to say, and we'll see, like when we play, we'll decide on a set for a night on tour, and we'll play songs, and then every show that we play, we have a little Zoom recorder that we put at the back of the room and hit record. So that way, after the show on the drive, we listen back to our set and we see how we played it. So so we can critique ourselves, but B, how people reacted to it and responded, and to see what songs do people like and what songs do people seem to not care about. And, you know, sometimes we're surprised at what songs people like the most. And sometimes we play a song and we're like, oh man, why don't people like that one as much? Or why don't people care about that one? But, you know, we're always just trying to figure it out, man.
Cool. So what's your favorite song to play live? Or if you have a favorite song right now to play live?
Lately, it's been the song "Friend from the Future," which is the first song on Lion.
Yeah.
For me as a bassist, that song's really, really fun. It's got a really fun bass line, and Corey and I can really lock in, and it's fun. And it has a little bit of that, like we were talking about earlier. Not that it's a ska song, but it's got a little bit of that influence and feel to it, so it makes it like especially fun to play. And it's got a lot of energy. You know, it's funny on that Less Than Jake tour, we were deciding, like, we were trying to weigh, okay, so should we play older songs or should we just only play what we want to play? So we kind of did a balance of that. 'Cause we added in songs like Heart Transplant, which was a popular song among people like our band. It was a popular song, but it's also a song that's 15 years old now. So we were like, oh, are people even going to care about this song anymore? Like, or should we only just play a set of songs that we like to play? But we put that into the set, and people did respond to it, so I'm glad we did. But yeah, man, it's hard to tell. Like, we've been a band that's been around for a long time, and we do have a great fan base, but at the same time, we never had like a hit song or like a really huge album or anything. So narrowing down, when we go on tour, we have to narrow down like 100 songs or more into, you know, Less Than Jake tour, we had a half an hour set. So how do you narrow down 100 songs into 30 minutes and try to, you know, not only to not only make people happy if they knew you, but also if people didn't know you, try to win them over. You know, it was tough. It's tough trying to narrow that down, but we do our best.
I can imagine that's tough.
Yeah.
So I just have a couple more questions. Want to respect your time and not take too long.
Hey man, I'm wide open. So
all right.
I'm glad to be here.
We said 4 hours, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't have 4 hours worth of questions.
Okay.
Okay, 2 hours.
Okay.
So when you're not playing music, what do you do for fun, or what do you like to do for fun?
I really like to play hacky sack. That's like among our whole band. That's a big activity. Hacky sack, or some people might call it foot bag. But in general, like, I do like to play basketball. What else do we do for fun? You know, we're all big fans of television. I don't know if any of you guys like Game of Thrones, but we're pretty big Game of Thrones fanatics over here.
Okay.
And what else do we like to do for fun? It's getting to be summertime, so I'll be hitting the pool here. And any competitive sport, I'm down. I like to play hockey. I like to play basketball. Now that the weather's getting nice, we like to play volleyball a lot. Ping pong. Anything
a lot of
competitive.
sports.
Yeah, anything competitive that I could get a little bit of exercise. Not that I'm necessarily good at any of them, but I like fun and exercise at the same time.
Awesome. So, do you have anything else you're really excited about for the future? Any upcoming projects that we haven't already touched on?
My main thing is just all the things coming up with Punchline. You know, we are releasing this EP, and then we have this music special come out in the fall. We're submitted for a lot more tours. I don't know what our next tour is going to be yet, but you know, really right now, all of us in Punchline, this is the most focused we've been in a while, and it feels good to have that that united goal. You know, and I felt like for a while there we kind of like, not that Punchline stopped or anything, but it was kind of like everyone had their focus in so many different directions, and sometimes you lose focus when you do that. But now I'm just kind of psyched that we're all on the same page and really working hard toward, you know, taking Punchline to the next level. And all I mean by that is to be able to continue making albums and tour, and then hopefully get our music into the ears of anyone who might like it. You know, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who might like us, but we just haven't made our way to their ears yet. So whatever we can do to make that happen, we're trying to make that happen. That seems to be what we're all concentrating on now.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. But for my last question, I have to ask, and the answer, I guess, after that answer is probably going to be no, but do you have any more solo stuff planned? I still listen to Love and Magazines and The World Won't Wait for You a couple times a month.
Nice, man. Thank you. As far as solo stuff, no, but I do. I have a couple other projects. I know I said I'm completely focused on Punchline, but I do have, you know, we don't have Punchline practice every night of the week. So I have a band called Pack that I play with one of my friends who's in the band The Juliana Theory, if you're familiar with them, and in the metal band Zayo. But we have a band called Pack, which we have a 7-inch coming out next month. So that's cool. And I also started playing in another band called Another Cheetah with PJ, who was the original drummer in Punchline, and Paul, who was original guitarist in Punchline, and a couple other of our friends who were in a band called A Week in July. And we all live near each other, and we started playing just in the past couple months. We started playing together, and that is another fun project. So it's nonstop music making around here. But as far as me personally, just solo, no. I have a ton of songs. I have a giant Dropbox of probably a couple hundred songs now. But I like to use those in my various projects with people, because I found that when I did something solo, it's fun to record it and release it, but then I didn't have anyone to play. I didn't have anyone to play the songs with. So that's been the preferred method of getting music out there now, is playing it with my buds.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I don't know. Phil, Ramona, do you have any other questions you want to ask?
Yeah, more so casual questions about which is the favorite band? Which is your favorite band? With God, sorry, my English is not the best. That's why I'm talking Chris the whole episode. You see it?
That's okay.
Yeah. What's your favorite band which you want to tour with?
I would love. Okay, my dream tour. I would love to tour with Ben Folds or Ben Folds 5. I'm such a big Ben Folds fan, and I don't know. You know, I know we're a little bit more on the punk side than Ben Folds, but I feel like we could make a set that would fit perfect on a Ben Folds tour. And other than that, I mean, Jimmy Eat World, that's been a dream tour. That would be, for me, that'd be the ultimate tour to do, would be Jimmy Eat World. Or Green Day. I would love to tour with Green Day, obviously, but who wouldn't, I guess. But yeah, well, I want to get on that Jimmy Eat World, Green Day, Ben Folds tour.
Okay, we're talking a lot about Billy Joe Armstrong in the Pop Punk Paradise. Exactly, he was the first topic of our episodes. We said about a tweet of him. He said he wanted to destroy the pop punk phrase, and we discussed this tweet. And yes, how do you see that? Do you think pop punk is not it's just a phrase, or is pop punk more than that?
You know, I don't know. As far as, you know, our band has always been considered like a pop punk band, and I get that, because it's punk, you know, especially it's punk rock, where a DIY band, and just in the way that our guitars sound and the way that our drums sound. There's a certain sound to it. But I feel like that term pop punk really, there's a lot of different ways, just like how people use the term emo. and you have bands, it's such a wide array of bands. I don't know for sure, if it's just, I don't know that. Are you asking if it's just a phase, or is it something that will? It seems like it's a type of music that's been around for a long time, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It's just, I don't know.
He mean pop punk is not as wait. He
Does
said
mean it doesn't exist, or it's not a real thing?
No, he said you're punk or you're not. Not the pop punk. That's the.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess that's true. You're either punk rock or you're not. I feel like our band has really, in a lot of ways, especially doing pretty much everything ourselves, has stayed pretty true to punk rock in that way. But at the same time, if you're looking at punk rock from a perspective of, when I think of punk rock bands, I think of like Propagandhi, who really has a lot to say about everything from
social causes.
Yeah, social issues and things like that. And I think personally, we've had a lot to say about social issues and stuff, but a lot of times that hasn't been like the subject matter of a lot of our music. But that doesn't mean that we don't care about that kind of stuff. It's just, it hasn't happened to been what we wrote. So it just kind of depends on how you define punk rock. I like to think that we've had a really punk rock ethos as far as our band, and we've been all about that world, and stayed pretty true to it. But, as far as, pop punk, whether that is a proper definition of what we are or not, it's definitely a type of music that people really like. So I don't know. I don't know the answer, man.
Maybe I got a good description about your band. You are a pop punk sounding band with the punk rock spirit.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would say that's true.
Great. And the pop punk in the USA, is that very big, or is that at the moment going smaller or bigger? Also, how is it in the States?
I think it's enormous. And especially like I feel like there's a few really good bands, like, bands like Blink and Green Day and bands like that. They're huge, and it seems like they're always going to be huge. But I think it does depend on who you put into that category. But like, for example, that band Pup. You guys know that band Pup?
Yes.
That band.
I've heard of them.
That band's awesome. And I don't know if they might be a little more on the punk rock side, but they still have a very pop side to them as well. But they are huge right now in the United States, and as well as a lot of other bands. I think pop punk is giant in the United States for sure. Yeah.
That is cool, because of Germany. Is it more than it's independent in German. It's not the big thing. It's our music industry in Germany is not the coolest. We are got a lot of pop and trap and something else in the charts, and nothing which make very funny sounds like Blink-182 or Green Day. We are in Germany. I think we are very stupid.
Hey, is Anti-Flag real popular in Germany?
Yes, yeah, some bands are popular, but not very big in Germany. That's the problem.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I saw Anti-Flag last fall, and there was a pretty good turnout for them.
I see.
Yeah, I knew that. I thought they did well there. They're our friends. They're from Pittsburgh, so that's why
Ah,
I
cool.
asked. I always see them over there. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
I see Anti-Flag on Friday and Ramona on Saturday. Also with
nice.
Less Than Jake.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're on that tour. That's awesome. I forgot about that. Hey, was No Effects good?
North X is really cool, and I'm happy to see them on Friday. And I saw them in the past on a pre-band more, not a headliner, just as a pre-band, and I like the sound. Fat Mike is very crazy.
Yeah, man, for sure. They're awesome. I love No Effects.
Yeah, and when you see Fat Mike makes a solo career as Dookie, Cookie as
Oh,
Clown,
No.
I think it's great. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was with Les and Jake on their bus watching that new Koki the Clown video, the
Mhm.
weird one.
Yeah.
Everyone was just making a real weird face watching that. But it's definitely, I don't know. Yeah, Fat Mike as a bassist, obviously I like Fat Mike. He plays some of the coolest bass lines, writes awesome songs. So yeah, we're all big No Effects fans over here.
Yes, but one question: do you know a German pop punk band or a German band?
Wieso?
Wieso?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool.
Did I pronounce their name right? We always called them Wizzo over here. But it's Wieso, right?
Wieso is right.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, that's the German band I always think of. Who else would I'm trying to think. There's probably bands that I like that I'm just not remembering that they're German. Let me think.
Die Ärzte?
I don't know. I don't think the DS are very big outside of Germany. I'd
Yeah.
never heard of them before I was here.
Rammstein, maybe?
Oh yeah, of course I know them. Well, I know Du Hast.
Yeah.
Du Hast. But yeah, I guess I don't. What German bands should I listen to?
Also, which sing in German language or in English? I know
It doesn't
some of
matter.
them. Okay, I think
Yeah.
I think the band Line 418 is very cool.
Okay. I gotta check.
They got all Spotify, and we've got a playlist with German bands. Maybe I can send it to you after the recording, then you can listen out of that.
Yep. Do that. Just Skype it right to me. I'll add it. It's on Spotify.
Yes, right.
Cool. Nice. Hell yeah, send it to me.
Yes, I will do it.
I'm always trying to find new music. Always like, I'm just constantly like, do you guys know that band Hop Along by any chance?
No.
No,
Oh, they're awesome. They're from
I'll
Philly.
write it down.
So
Okay.
good. So good. And what else did I like this week? Oh, well, this is like way more on the side of pop than punk. But do you know that band Amorosa?
I know the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're good too. I don't know. Every week I find like an album that I just listen to nonstop till I basically burn myself out on it. Then I move on to the next thing. But like Hop Along and Amorosa have been my last two.
I like the Army of Freshmen. They are not very big, I think so, but I like the sound. Maybe you know them?
Nice. Yeah, they're our friends.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
we've toured together several times.
Uh,
We went to the UK together before, actually.
ah,
But yeah, they're cool.
I listen their podcast every episode, and it makes fun to hear them and talk about things.
Nice.
Or Patent Pending is a cool band, what I think.
also are friends. That's awesome. I know you know all my friends. Yeah, patent pending's awesome.
We could make a big podcast episode with all your friends and you too. That would be cool.
Can you please ask when Phil is really a big fan of patent pending? Please ask when to come to the podcast.
Okay, I
It
will.
would make him so happy.
Okay, yeah, I'll tell Joe.
It is.
Thank you.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, maybe I'll email him and ask for an introduction.
Yeah, I can do
Maybe
that,
we
man.
can set that
Seriously,
up. That would be awesome.
that's not a problem at all.
All right. Well, anything else, Phil? Ramona?
Ramona?
Yes, my last question for this episode would be, do you have any advice for upcoming bands, for young artists, whatever?
I would say my biggest piece of advice is never stop trying to get better at your instrument.
Okay.
I think that it's easy to get adequate and then just be like, okay, I'm good enough. But I think you always have, and I'm including singing too. But, you know, recently I've been making more of an effort to become a better bassist, even though I've been playing bass for, 20 some years. And I think that becoming better at your instrument helps you become a better songwriter. I think that's another thing is try to write every day. If not every day, as much as you can. There's a lot of things to do on the other end, on the business side, but always keep trying to become better at your instrument and always keep trying to become a better songwriter because, that's what it's all about when it comes down to it. You could dress cool and you could jump around on stage and you could interact with people a lot on social media and all that kind of stuff, which is all fine and great. But when it comes down to it, what's most important is the music. So I would say,
Okay.
always strive to get better.
Word.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Chris, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah. And maybe we'll be in touch.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you.
Let me know when it's up.
All righty. We'll do that, and we'll put some links to your stuff in the show notes for sure.
Nice. Appreciate that. Hey, thank you. It's nice meeting you guys.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Right. Yes.
We will see us in the next episode. Bye.
Yeah.
All right.